Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Oh wait, it's a vintage video! Today's video is sponsored by moxfield.com and we'll take a look at this after round 1. So, Montolio saw my Legacy deck list with White Plume Adventurer and Seasoned Dungeoneer, and seeing like how good my results were and how I was talking up the general idea, they decided to import it into Vintage. And in Vintage, you get to play with a whole lot of fast mana. That's better than things like Lotus Petal and Chrome Box. So, I'm not really exaggerating here when I say that this is a Legacy deck list that I played with different mana. Now, we're opting to be heavier on snow-covered plains rather than Cavernous Souls because of some of the needs of the sideboard cards in Vintage. Like, we've got to be able to hate on very specific archetypes. A lot of times, your Game 1 deck is geared to beat blue decks because things like PO and Tinker are all over the place and are relatively good. And then in the sideboard, you gear it to deal with things like your Mishra's Workshop decks, as well as your Dredge decks. So, keeping that in mind, we have a pile of very hateful things backed by land destruction so that we have a decent chance at being able to defeat a Bazaar of Baghdad. I don't have a lot to say about this deck list because this is a Legacy deck that I've played. I've done deck techs on this already. We're a little bit heavier on Spirit of the Labyrinth in this format, and Archon is much stronger in Vintage than it is in Legacy. So ultimately, we're going to see how this feels. I'm a little unsure about Solitude, but I do still like the idea of it in the deck being something that you can hit if you ever get to Throne of the Dead 3 off of the initiative. And I also just like it for early Hollow 1 starts or a Hogak or something like that that slips into play. I think this is maybe going to be the worst card in the deck, but I don't know that it's better to run more Swords to Plowshares because of your hits off the initiative dungeon later. So, Vintage peeps, please show me some love. Throw me a like or a comment on this video. It really helps out a lot, especially for these formats that I don't play very often. I'm really excited about this deck because, like, this mono white deck, just kind of like being something that I really enjoy playing in Vintage. I'm really excited by the idea that it has been revitalized. Like, Montolio got a 5-0 and then another, I think, 4-1 after it. I watched a few minutes of his YouTube video to just kind of get a feel for like his deck tech and outro and his thoughts on it. And let's see how this plays out. Let's battle. Okay, so I am on the draw. I have a Chalice, which is a restricted card, so it's very powerful, but I have no white mana. I would rather mulligan this hand. This hand is going to be a keep. I have to decide what goes back. It's probably the Solitude. As I said in the deck tech, I kind of expect that that is one of the weaker cards in the deck list. Now, just a heads up, I have not played Vintage in a hot minute. So, like, I played a lot in preparation for Eternal Weekend 2 years ago, but I didn't play in the most recent Eternal Weekend. So I'm going to be a little rusty on some things. Like, I don't know what Mountain Pass is going to mean in Vintage. Like, my head goes to Blood Moon. Like, Blood Moon stopping Bazaars is a thing that is, I guess, real. But I don't know. My Stoneforge are going to get bolted. It is not going to get bolted. Sure, that's fine. Uh-huh. What? When it dies, you gain 2 life. What the fuck? Exile target non-creature artifact? Huh. How dare you? How dare you? Am I crashing in with Caldra, taking 5 damage off of it, and then following up with Batterskull? Probably. Force of Vigor, pitching Cinder Vines. Okay. That's gonna slow me down. But this feels incredibly aggressive. Like, too aggressive. Okay. Can take your 1 point of damage, I guess. I'm at 19. Seems like my opponent... Oh, do I strip mine them? I don't think I strip mine them. I think my mana is more valuable than their mana. Let's crash in with Caldra. Get him. I don't even know if my opponent has green mana, honestly. Like, I know there's green mana in their deck, like, they've shown me Cindervines and Force of Vigor. uh, okay. I have literally no idea what's coming. Okay, Outland Liberator. This is the biggest, like, fuck you artifacts deck that I've ever seen. Someone has a vendetta. So I can just attack in with Caldra and leave back White Plume Adventurer. I think. I don't think Batterskull needs to come out yet. Yeah. Let's get this started. It's possible that I'm just supposed to strip mine here, but if I'm being honest, I'm not very scared of the things that my opponent is doing right now. Bash in for 5. I've got 2 blockers back currently, so my opponent can't take the initiative, and I also get to untap my Germ token during the upkeep. This is gross. Yeah. So, I like Swords to Plowshares. The Katakis and Stony Silences are maybe not at their best here. I might play Containment Priest as a 2/2. Actually, probably not. Containment Priest actually works against the final part of the initiative dungeon. Yeah, well, let's not do that. Get Chalice of the Void out of my deck for 1 Swords to Plowshares, and then we'll find a way to get the second one in. It's probably just taking out 1 Spirit or Thalia. Probably a Spirit, because Force of Vigor is a thing that exists. That seems reasonable to me. I wonder if this is one of those times where my opponent just drew the wrong side of their deck, or I wonder if they are just such an inbred deck that they're just hoping to dodge matchups like this one. So I think I keep this hand. It makes 2 white creatures on turn 1 at worst. And at best, I draw like an initiative card and do very dumb stuff. Like, I have 6 mana on turn 1. I don't think I can throw that back. I might not play Mana Crypt in some worlds immediately, though. Yeah, that's fine. Like, I think if I draw a land, I don't play Mana Crypt immediately. That's basically a land. Yeah, I can just play Lotus Plains, Thalia, Spirit. It makes my Mana Crypt a little more awkward, but I don't know that I want to do the damage to myself with the way that this hand looks. Alright. Seasoned Dungeoneer, as the top card of my library, would be the thing that punishes me for not playing out Mana Crypt prior to Thalia. So my threats aren't the best for this matchup, I imagine. But hopefully 2 cards quickly like this and just producing 5 power on turn 1 is reasonable. I imagine that I've only seen a small portion of my opponent's deck. So, like, I don't know what to expect from them. Okay, that's fine. That can trade with the Spirit of the Labyrinth. Alright, there is a White Plume Adventurer, which I'm not going to be able to play this turn because I didn't play Mana Crypt last turn. Let's crash in with both of these and see if my opponent wants to do a tradesies. They can block Thalia. Oh, nope. Alright, my opponent's just willing to take the full 5. This is a little awkward now. I still think this is fine. I'll play the Mana Crypt. It's worth some amount of immediate damage. It allows me to play the White Plume, take the initiative, grab planes. It exposes some of my stuff to, like, some very specific lines, but I think it's going to be fine. Like, I get to untap a first striker. The Outland Liberator coming in isn't a problem. I don't know what big dumb stuff my opponent is going to have for fair creature matchups. Oh, it's Tarmogoyf. Sure, so that's effectively a 2/3. Okay, my opponent has effectively a pair of 2/3s once a creature goes to the graveyard. Alright. So I think I'm just making a very large White Plume Adventurer here. Although a very large First Striker is also tempting. But I don't think my creature actually needs to have First Strike. Let's see if I take some damage. I do. Oh, baby. Yeah. Oh, this is strong. I'm going to take the initiative, which traps my opponent, meaning that they are going to lose 5. Going to 10. My White Plume is going to get protection with Seasoned Dungeoneer. I'm fine with trading Spirit for a creature. I'm fine with trading Thalia for a creature. Yeah, so all of these can go ahead and crash in, and that's fine. Attack with all of them. You just get protection. Put that on top. Probably put that on top. Okay, opponent's taking 8 here. Or sorry, 9 here. So a Tarmogoyf gets bigger. My opponent goes to 1, facing down 4 creatures and the initiative. I will untap my big boy. Oh, Maze of Ith is cool. Less cool is me not actually drawing a card off of archives. Or, I guess technically I do draw a card off of archives, but you know. And I don't get one per turn. Target non-land permanent becomes an artifact in addition to his other types until end of turn. I see. So that's the gimmick here. You use that to try and destroy creatures and such. Alright, so I will draw a card. And I don't get to draw a card per turn. That's all fine. Lost my flip again. So any one of these creatures connecting means that my opponent is dead. I can Solitude Ignoble Hierarch. That does not gain my opponent any life, and then I believe that they are deterministically dead if I do that. Actually, maybe that's not true. So, get rid of 1. Block. Yeah, because it changes the timing at which they can do stuff. Alright, Solitude. Get the Ignoble Hierarch out of the way. So now they can't use Liquimetal Torque and Outland Liberator after blocks to kill a creature. Alright. Send in with everything. Really matter which way this goes. Yeah, that can go to my graveyard. Just doesn't really seem like my opponent has a way to live. Like, they maze one of these. Oh, that's a mana rock, too. Sure. Missed the fact that that was a mana rock. I don't really think it's a problem, though. Like, my opponent is facing down Throne of the Dead 3. They're definitely not taking the initiative through the nonsense that I have. Okay. So, Throne of the Dead 3 happens. Let's just continue to Solitude bodies out of the way. By Tarmogoyf. That now means all of my stuff is able to safely attack in. Alright, Tails wins this time. Go ahead and do a pre-combat Thalia. Every creature getting in is lethal here with the exception of Solitude. Bump up the Seasoned Dungeoneer. Mox can go to Graveyard. Okay, so you take your block. You're going to maze one of these. Sure, that's fine. Outland Liberator blows that up. This one will get mazed. Yep, not a big deal. Yeah, yep, GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield is a deck building website for Magic the Gathering, and it also serves as a database for all sorts of cool decks. So whether you are concerned with your own decks, or maybe decks for a specific format, you want to take a look at what people are messing around with for new cards, or maybe you want to specifically follow some people, like say some content creators, and see what they're up to, there's a ton to explore here, so consider checking it out. If this hand had any Mox other than Mox Pearl, I would have to throw it back. Since it's Mox Pearl, this can be a keep. This hand is going to be relatively powerful. We'll see what we're playing against, because that is going to change the texture of this hand a lot. Alright, good honest preordain to start things off this game. Alright, 1 top, 1 bottom. I'm probably starting on Spirit of the Labyrinth, given like this opener from my opponent. Play a Pearl. Then I think Wasteland Spirit is the play. Reet Wraith. So we're probably playing against like a Doomsday deck. Happy enough having a Spirit in play given that. Some of the easiest Doomsday piles involve Ancestral, because why wouldn't they? Will love to Wasteland that. Ah. Good, honest Magic right here. Yeah. Oh, they're passing the turn, though. Nice. So no thought to it. Wasteland UC. Crash in for 3. Puts my opponent to 15. Afterwards, I believe that I'm interested in the initiative here. This is just going to clock my opponent very quickly. So I get my basic land. I can play Seasoned Dungeoneer next turn. Already made my land drop. Gonna untap my Spirit. Anyway, Next turn I get to play Seasoned Dungeoneer and probably attack for 7. Oh no. That was bottom. They don't get to draw a card with the Preordain. I get to go to the Forge. I think I put that on White Plume. Ooh. I play another Spirit. This is already lethal next turn. I probably just play Spirit and Stoneforge rather than Seasoned Dungeoneer now that I've drawn this. Get him dead. When it goes to 7. So if I play Seasoned Dungeoneer, I can trap right now. Put my opponent to 2. Fetch lands are off. I don't know the format well enough to know which one of these I'm supposed to do. I think I'm going to play another Spirit. I was going to play the Seasoned Dungeoneer. I needed to play it pre-combat. But I think having an extra Spirit in play so that a bounce spell or something doesn't beat me feels good. Alright. Untap a 5/5. Are we done? Ooh, we're not done. Demonic Consultation. Well, that sure doesn't draw a card. What did they name? Naming Mox Sapphire. Okay. So you can play Athos's Oracle. You would need a second Demonic Consultation afterwards? Okay. Yeah, because they could have gone Sapphire, Oracle, Demonic Consultation. Yeah, there was still an out to me being dead there. Okay. Mindbreak Trap seems reasonable. A lot of the rest of this stuff doesn't. I'm going to take a quick look at what Vintage Doomsdays look like right now, though. Okay, Demonic Consultation is restricted. So, I don't actually super have to worry about that. Good Source of Plowshares out from Mindbreak Trap out. Rav Trap's not going to do anything, right? Yeah, no. Stony Silence is not crazy, though I don't really think it's good either. Solitude is basically worthless in this matchup, though. Oh, maybe I'll go ahead and play some Stony Silences to help with, like, Lotus and Mox Sapphire. This is an example of a hand that has plenty of mana, but just no white mana, so this has to be a mulligan. Same, this also has to be a mulligan. I think I would rather go to 4 than keep 5 of these. Easily the best hand so far. I'll be keeping this. I have to put 3 of these back. That's 1. Do I keep the Mindbreak Trap? Or do I keep Second Spirit? That's 2, and it's just Second Spirit versus Mindbreak Trap. I think I'm going to keep Mindbreak Trap. It just helps in some of the scariest timelines. This is a very good 4-card hand, but, like, it's still a 4-card hand at the end of the day. Alright. 1 top, 1 bottom there. Ooh, nice. So let's attempt a Pearl. I believe I play Spirit here, because if I play Spirit, I still have Mindbreak Trap up. But if I play Thalia, I don't actually have Mindbreak Trap up. Again, I don't have good vintage heuristics right now. I am a little rusty as far as the specifics of this format go. Opponent's playing around Wasteland well here. Time walk's good. Alright. Bonus turn. What do you have for me? I expect my opponent will have a couple answers to Hate Bears now. I didn't really look over the sideboards. I was focused on main decks when I kind of did my thing. Alright. Merchant Scroll's good. It's Dig Through Time, which is card draw, air quotes, that gets around Spirit of the Labyrinth. Oh, Mox is very good. So I get to hit my opponent for 3 and then play a Thalia while holding up both Karakas to protect Thalia and Mindbreak Trap. The Mindbreak Trap is a little worse while Thalia is in play because it's harder to play 3 spells, but in a lot of the worlds where my opponent does kill me, they are going to play that many spells. My opponent's tapped and untapped some lands a couple of times. Oh, seems like they're chilling. Might just be like an end of my turn Dig Through Time. For those of you who never experienced this card, because you're mostly legacy players and you've started somewhat recently, it's pretty good. It helps get you out of some really weird spots. Palace Jailer not exactly great here. I both don't have the mana for it, and it's like not working well with my Spirit of the Labyrinth that's in play. Alright, opponent's at 9 when everything's said and done here. And then here's the Dig Through Time that tries to get my opponent out of this current situation. I might win this game on a mull to 4. Like, it's still definitely dubious, like, let's be clear. Like, it's a 2-turn clock. My opponent has 5 mana. And my Mindbreak Trap may or may not actually do anything. Spell 1. Oh, that's a lot of mana. Absolutely. So, Archon is pretty clutch here. It's uncounterable because my opponent can't pay for attacks right now. So I can't really attack in through this right now, but that's hopefully not actually a problem. Archon is cracked. Although technically Archon makes my Mindbreak Trap worse, but, you know. I think that's gonna be okay. Guess I can move this zone out of the way. If I draw a land, I will Palace Jailer that out of the way. I think that's worth dropping Mindbreak Trap. Mana. Legend Rule. Palace Jailer. Daze is acceptable. That's okay. Like, Archon flies. Archon can get in there. I don't currently have Mindbreak Trap accessible, but again, with these 3 cards in play, that shouldn't matter. It can matter if Archon gets removed. Are we doing another Street Wraith? What on earth is this much mana? Oh. Okay. Wasn't really expecting that. You're a turn late. So I no longer have good attacks. Opponent doesn't have great attacks either. Like, very risky for them to swing in with a Street Wraith, because if they do so, and then I top deck something like a Palace Jailer, I just remove their 1 blocker, and they are dead. I guess I need Solitudes back in here, right? Like, I boarded out Solitudes. Yeah. Another Street Wraith. Okay, now they can attack in with the Street Wraith. I can do the whole Thalia block bounce trick, though. Yeah, okay. They're not coming in. Stoneforge Mystic. Cauldra is real good here. Real good. There's my Stoneforge. Yes. Pick up Cauldra. We'll start doing that next turn. My opponent has done a good job of trying to play a reasonable game, despite the degree of hate bears that are currently in play. Okay, yeah, you can Doomsday. That's your 1 spell, so that's what you get for this turn. I can see my opponent hovering over Time Walk here. Alright, Murktide Regent gets 1 bigger. My opponent is at 3. Alright, no attacks from my opponent. There's a Wasteland. So, if I attack with just Cauldra, my opponent can block with a Street Wraith and go to 2. Anything else that I attack with forces another block. If I attack in with everything, and my opponent does not have any cards that do anything, my opponent dies. Because they take 1 from Cauldra, and then 2 from one of the other creatures. However, if I make this attack in, and my opponent has something, I die. My opponent's top card is probably Time Walk. I'm going to junk the active Underground Sea right now. Activate this. Put in Cauldra. That always attacks. How do I feel about the rest? I'm going to see if, like, a Fatal Push type card is reasonable. Yeah, there's probably 1 cut down and 1 Fatal Push I can play around by not attacking in with everything here. Has to be in my opponent's hand already. And they have to have a black land in deck to fetch for. They already would have planned for that, though, right? I think I'm just going to attack in with the 1. I don't think I want to risk the hate bears in combat here. This is a lot to try to win through. Okay, that's fine. Alright. So I imagine this top card is Time Walk. That's fine. Take your extra turn. Okay. Yeah, okay. Good. I was going to send everything sideways there. GG's. We're now 2-0. Haven't dropped a game yet. Alright, round 3. I have no mana acceleration here. This is a very good legacy hand, and I think a subpar vintage hand. I think I'm just going to mulligan this one and try to do better. Like, the hands that have stuff like this are so good. Absolute keep. I'll be sending back the Cauldra here. It's just unnecessary since I have a Stoneforge, which is hopefully going to resolve. Alright. Pearl Plains. Play good old faithful Stoneforge Mystic. And grab the Cauldra. What are you going to do, opponent? Alright. I've got a Mox, you've got a Mox. It's only fair. Soul Ring into top, that's fine. Or maybe playing against like a PO deck of some kind. I'm going to put my opponent on a hell of a clock. Ooh, Urza Saga. I'm pretty well suited to fighting against Urza Saga tokens right now, just kind of given the tools that I have. I am going to hold this in hand for a little while. A little awkward that I can't use my mana hyper efficiently this turn, but ultimately I think it's fine. Like, this is still a 4-turn clock at the end of the day. A little bit better than that because of Seasoned Dungeoneer. Downside here is that I don't have a Hate Bear in play, so if my opponent does actually do something like PO, I can't really do much to stop it right now. Plan is just murder my opponent with this very thick token. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my opponent will have a 5/5. Doesn't matter, I'm indestructible. So Seasoned Dungeoneer is currently bugged. So it's going to trigger on itself here, assuming that it resolves, which it has. I'll get my planes, crash in for 5. This is not supposed to happen, but we'll play the cards as they are until they get fixed. Given that these cards are taking over multiple formats right now, I expect the fix to come very quickly. Ooh, picked up a Wasteland. Oh, that super punishes me for playing planes pre-combat, actually. Wow. I did not think through that line. Yeah, that's on me. I now didn't Wasteland Urza Saga. That's actually a huge punt that I didn't think of. I'm so used to like playing around days and stuff that I defaulted to playing a first main phase land when I shouldn't have. Now my opponent can get something like a Voltaic Key. Alright. 2 relatively large tokens here. Is a Mana Vault. It seems like it is PO time. Alright, so they're going to tap top, and in response cast Paradoxical Outcome for probably 5. Yep. That is a lot of card draw. Construct tokens do get smaller, but they're going to get bigger real fast. My opponent has 14 cards in hand. I think there's a very good chance that I lost this game for not playing, or playing my first main phase land drop instead of waiting to see if I explored into exactly Wasteland or Strip Mine, which is a 10% chance of happening. Alright, my opponent is going to throw down a lot of artifact mana very quickly. But now that they've played out the artifact mana that they know about, they're pausing a little bit. It's definitely good for me. Minskin Boo? In Vintage? Huh. Alright, no, like, I see it. They're gonna take the initiative. I think I just eat 11 damage and then try to kill my opponent. Right? Because I have 5, 8, 9 power on board. It's a 10th point of power if I explore successfully. Yeah, so I think I just eat all of that damage. Okay. I'm gonna be dead to a Time Walk effect. Oh, they failed to find a basic land, so they have 1 island in their deck list. That's good to know. Now, they've got 7 cards to have an answer to Palace Jailer here. So let's try it. Okay. On the Construct token. This is pure luck whether or not I win here. This is 9 onboard damage. Attack you. Do I have a land on top? Oh shit. Okay, that's fine. I guess like a Hercules Recall bouncing my Caldra would do it too. Fuck! No! Yeah. Oh, it would have been the land anyway. It wouldn't have been lethal. Okay. Do I have any out? Yes, I do. So I will forge my blocker. I'll play a Pearl. Oh shit, this can just throw... This can just throw this at me. I believe I am dead then. See what I draw with my Monarch card. Lotus? That's not gonna do it. I'm alive if my opponent somehow uses their Minskin Boo wrong. Otherwise, I'm dead. Oh shit. Or no, that won't do it, right? I can't... I could have killed the Minskin Boo normally. But not like this. I can deal 4 damage to one of these. Block here takes 7, block here takes 6. I'm dead either way. Damn it. It's so close on bringing that one back. Urkel's Recall in my deck with 9 artifacts just destroyed me. So, Stony Silence seems pretty reasonable here. Kaki's okay. Mindbreak Trap's okay. The issue is that, like, gearing too much against the combo portion of the deck makes me weak against the Urza Saga portion of the deck. I'm not sure exactly how I'm supposed to sideboard, conceptually speaking. Because most of my cards are reasonable cards in the matchup in one capacity or another. Here at Thalia, Archon, I'll make the combo portion much harder. There's also, you know, Tinker. I'm less excited about Palace Jailer if my opponent has Minsc and Boo to take the Monarchy with haste. From here, I'm just very unsure. Like, if I go down too much on the Solitude and Swords to Plowshares type cards, I'm just too bad versus Urza Saga to win. I think I'm going to play Stony and call this good and not play Kataki. But I don't have enough reps with this deck to know for sure. This hand seems quite good. This is just a powerful turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 curve deck list. Play Karakas out now. Drop a Thalia. Nice. Like, to do this into White Plume, this will be pretty good even against an Urza Saga, because I just have a Wasteland for that. So my opponent kind of needs their artifact mana for multiple turns, whereas I only need mine for 1 turn. So ripping things like Stony Silence can still be pretty powerful here. Oh. Well, that's a good start versus a Thalia. Would have been an insane start if not for Thalia. I believe I just play my White Plume here. Off of a Ganjo. I don't think I wasteland my opponent. Alright, you're at 18. Land drop into White Plume. Oh, that's an expensive Force of Will right there. That's Force and a pitch card and a Lotus. Unless they have something like Ancestral right here as well. Oh, they don't. Yeah. My White Plume Adventurer just got 3 cards. There's another one coming next turn with a Wasteland. Yep. Mana Vault is fine. Okay, sure. You have another piece of artifact mana? Okay, you do have another piece of artifact mana. 1 card remaining. Do I wasteland my opponent? I care more about an Urza Saga than anything else right now. I still probably attack my opponent's mana here. If I can do... Make sure this resolves, I expect it to. My opponent's got 1 card. Grab my planes. Get in with a Thalia. My opponent goes to 14. I'll attack a Volcanic Island. I would rather be going after something like an Urza Saga, but it may just be at this point that something like an Urza Saga is just too slow. This is the point where a Stony Silence would look real good. Or even a Kataki. Might play Kataki when I'm on the draw. Whatever it is, it's a lot of mana. Okay, it's a paradoxical outcome. My opponent gets to draw some cards. They can vomit a lot of artifacts back into play with Thalia. But they're not really going to net much in terms of mana. Playing it out in that order means that that's where they're stopping. Yep. Go to Forge. Put this on White Plume. Do I want to play... I think I want to play my Lotus. This is a little weird. If I play my Lotus and use it to play Seasoned Dungeoneer, I can then play Wasteland on Tropical Island if I have one. 4 in 49 shot of that happening. I think I just hold the Lotus. Alright. I will take the initiative. Do trap. Drain you for 5. You're at 9. Go to combat. Crash in with both of these. You have protection from creatures. There's an Ancient Tomb. Alright. You're at 2. Now, things can happen, but this is a pretty darn good position for me. Opponent does not have Metalcraft yet for Mox Opal. Vault turns on Metalcraft. Okay, yep. For this game where I'm on the draw, I think I want the Katakis now. Just really helps me catch up if my opponent has an explosive turn 1 with a lot of artifacts in play. I think that means going down some number of removal spells. But this makes me so much worse versus just random Urza Saga tokens. My opponent can just play an Urza Saga on turn 1. That land's really good. Probably better in Vintage than any other format. I say, like, playing no vintage, but just conceptually with all the Moxen, like, it's so free to be able to activate that. Alright, let's go down some Solitudes. Leaves me with... would I rather have a Solitude or a Source of Plowshares? Maybe a Solitude. Could cut something like the Batterskull? Also cut, like, a Stoneforge Mystic. I won't miss a Stoneforge Mystic, whereas I might miss the removal. That's fine. Auto mulligan here, not enough mana. These are all the right cards. Hand is slow. This hand punches very hard. I think I keep this one. It's a little bad versus artifact mana. But given that I have 3 Katakis and 3 Stony Silences to draw towards, I think that's okay. I think Thalia goes back. The more artifact mana my opponent has, the worse this hand is. But if they keep an Urza Saga-based hand, hashtag got him. Alright. Jet, Misty. Got a Trop. What are we doing? Okay, that's not bad. I'm probably wastelanding my opponent no matter what I draw. That shuffled. Alright, wasteland your Trop. I've taken you off of blue mana. See how strong that ends up being. My opponent has some strong colorless plays like Sensei's Divining Top that they can do, and they could also just have more lands. But there's a lot of times where they're just gonna like pass a turn here. Yep. Wasteland you again. Oh, don't recall. Oh, well, technically they didn't recall yet. Although if they're one card in hand... Oh, fuck, it's Tinker. Alright. Well, they can't play that this turn. They could play it next turn. Well, I know what I'm trying to stop. We're going to try to stop it to the best of our ability. My opponent has a lot of mana in their deck, though. So, this is a bit nerve-wracking. If I can get this Archon of Emeria into play, that will slow down my opponent a lot. Okay. Archon's good. That means that every land except my opponent's one basic island will enter tapped. Oh shit, they're pitching the Tinker! Oh, please pitch the Tinker. Fuck, no. Should've... fuck. I wanted you to pitch that Tinker so bad that I never have to think about it again. Time Vault, Manifold Key. So... I'm dead to that, right? Yeah, I just eventually die to, like, an Urza Saga token. Damn it. That's an unfortunate top deck. I know it's the top deck because, like, their 2 cards in hand are Force of Will blue card. Whatever I play gets countered, and then they have infinite turns. Alright, I will concede to that. GG's. Alright, I'm likely to kill myself with my own cards this game, but I'm still probably going to keep this hand. Like, Mox Pearl is one of the best cards in the entire deck, and I have it in my opening hand. I have the ability to season Dungeoneer on turn 1 and back it up with Strip Mine. Lead on Mana Crypt. I don't want to get this Mox Pearl, like, randomly dazed or something. I don't think I want to start on that card. Pitching a Mental Misstep. Sure. That now changes my hand. Now I probably just play Strip Mine into Mox Pearl. Season Dungeoneer on turn 2. Nice. And are we resolving? Oh, we're resolving. Turn 1 Spirit of the Labyrinth versus a blue deck is clutch. Alright, what do you have? I mean, reasonable. I'm less scared of that in the face of Spirit of the Labyrinth. Okay, yeah, cool. Season Dungeoneer is really good this turn. So is Thalia. Let's do free combat one of these. Nice. Take my land drop. Crash in for 3. Opponent goes to 15. Hurt myself a little bit to play a Thalia. Wonder if my opponent was too gung-ho in countering my Mana Crypt and is going to lose the game because of it. Yep. So I'm probably playing against something like Doomsday. But ultimately I didn't see very many cards. So, do I want to sideboard? If so, how so? Like, there's some amount of stuff that I can board in. Not like I really have to board. Like, it's better if I do, and my call is right. I could 100% just hit the submit button given my lack of information, but like after just seeing Underground Seas, feels like doomsday. I'm just gonna whack the submit button for this game though. This is an auto mulligan. I have no white mana. The second hand is very good. I'll keep this pitching Solitude. I think I'd rather have the bonus mana so that like I can Wasteland and play Thalia or Spirit on turn 1. My hand's actually pretty bad if Mox Pearl gets countered though. Yep. Welcome to Vintage. Not getting to Wasteland my opponent on turn 1, which is a little unfortunate. See if they have the heads up play to counter this Mox Pearl. They don't. Do I show Wasteland? I probably show Wasteland. Now, which one of these do I play? Probably Thalia. Do the Spirit second. Thalia just makes it harder for my opponent to vomit cards. Makes future counterspells worse. Alright, pitching a Narset. Oh, so I might actually be playing against a control deck. In which case, not boarding was probably correct or very close to correct. Okay, sure. I mean, like, I accept. I have another Wasteland, so if this is bait, I accept it as bait. Yeah, sure. Alright, we'll see how bad that Vampiric Tutor is for me. It's certainly not good for me. Opponent's on 5 cards. There's Urza's Saga. Got a Wasteland for that. So, Wasteland, cast Spirit of the Labyrinth, blow up Urza's Saga. Hopefully don't get, like, fucking tinkered on. Oh, shit. Oh, yeah. Things are looking good for me. Opponent's at 13. I'll play out a Caracas and pass. Did opponent, like, Vamp Tutor for Urza Saga? Like, it's fine if they did. Gross. I'll hit in for my 3. Putting my opponent to 10. I believe it's correct for me to take 2 to play this, so that I can hold up Source to Plowshares for my opponent's turn. Yeah, GG's. Alright, final round here. We're 3-1. This is an auto mulligan. I do not have enough mana. The 6 is unfortunately also an auto mulligan, but as we've seen, this deck has very powerful hands, and it's okay if we take some bad beats for mulligans. Also, apologies for my bad lighting today. I realized I didn't move my lamp back. I normally have it behind me when I'm streaming Paper Magic and to my side when I'm recording. Alright, say la vie. Yes. My opponent's going down pretty deep on cards too. My Solitude goes back 100% of the time. The other card is a little bit tougher. I'm going to say that it's Swords to Plowshares. My Mana Crypt getting Force of Will would be rough, but my opponent's going down pretty low on cards here. I think my first play is Thalia. Just makes my opponent's initial Moxen worse. Alright, we're both on 5. See if this gets countered. It doesn't. Open on Thalia. Could be a little awkward if my opponent is on a Bazaar deck and I didn't lead on Spirit of the Labyrinth. Oh man, opponent had the Force. Would have been so good for them to go after the Mana Crypt, but they couldn't have known that. For my seat though, like holy shit, that would have beaten me so bad. What did they pitch? Probe? They pitched Probe. Okay. Let's not get carried away here. What? Oh shit. I got oopsed. I got oopsed in Vintage. Well, that's real bad. So, okay, looks like my opponent has Goblin Charbelcher as a backdoor kill. There's Thassa's Oracle. Where's Dread Return? There's Dread Return. Alright, so I can see the writing on the wall. I'm going to concede here when my opponent casts Cabal Therapy targeting me so that I don't show them more cards in my hand. Yeah. I will concede. I know when I'm beat. Wrap Trap. Mindbreak Trap. Containment Priest, all in, seems fine. Stony Silence is not crazy. Solitude seems bad. Alice Jailer seems bad. Get those in here. This is putting me at a 61 card deck. I think I can probably go down on a lot of the Stoneforge Mystic type stuff. Get rid of the Batter Skull. I actually just get rid of the whole Stoneforge Mystic package. Probably can. Play these and 2 other cards. Playing Kataki helps deal with multi-line turns. It may be that I need to play 2 Stone Forges and 1 Cauldron over 1 Seasoned Dungeoneer. Just make my numbers work. I don't really want to invest 4 mana in Cauldron. I'd rather just slam a card and attack my opponent with it. I'm going to play 2 Katakis. I don't really think they're very good. Okay, this is an incredibly powerful hand that cannot stop my opponent from turn 1ing. Is that acceptable? I don't think it's acceptable. I'm going to mulligan while I'm on the play. Oh, shit. Eep. Land Lotus Archon on turn 1. Mindbreak Trap is back up. Lotus getting Force of Willed sucks. So does Archon getting Force of Willed. But I think it's a cape. It'll be over quickly one way or another. Alright. See if we're getting forced. Attempt the Archon. Not getting forced. Now this does make my Mindbreak Trap a bit worse. But the upside is I have an Archon in play. Yeah, okay, cool. I think I am comfortable with how I am sideboarded. The game on the draw is really hard. I have exactly 4 cards that matter. Okay, I have one of my cards that matters while I'm on the draw. I have the ability to play a turn 1 Containment Priest if I get to my own turn 1. This is going to be a nail biter for like the 3-2 versus the 4-1. Alright. Okay. Storm is 1. Storm is 2. I can Mindbreak Trap whatever comes next. Trap ya. Oh, that feels good. Oh, that feels good. So, which of Thalia or Containment Priest needs to happen here? Probably Containment Priest. Play out Mana Crypt. I think I just play out the Containment Priest right now. At sorcery speed. So that no nonsense can happen. My opponent has 1 Goblin Charbelcher in the main. I don't know if they sideboard into more. Okay. Cool. Fails never fails. See? Told you. Oh, there's an Archon. That should be GG. Attack for 2 with Containment Priest. Opponent goes to 15. I will play out Karakas and drop an Archon. So I guess I could still technically lose to, like, the Goblin Charbelcher. But I should have a very swift clock here. Oh, yeah, okay, cool. That is the 4-1 in this league. Alright, overall thoughts on the deck list to wrap things up here. This deck is really good. This deck is 100% in my ballpark. Like, this plays to a lot of my strengths. And I think if I knew current vintage better, like, this deck would look even better as I know what outs I need to be playing towards. There's possibilities this could have been 5-0 with me playing differently, but given my current skill level in vintage specifically, I am extremely happy with these results. I don't think I would make any major changes to the deck list. I very much like the cards that I have access to, and the numbers feel about right. I suppose the Solitude is probably the most flexible slot of the things here. It was more hard castable than I was expecting it to be throughout this league, and pitch casting it was reasonable as well. This deck gets a huge thumbs up for me. Like, this was a lot of fun to play, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, please, please, please click the like button on the way out. Consider leaving me a comment if you have any deck ideas. The engagement really helps a lot on these vintage videos. Alright, I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya!